information. It's going to gather data all the way from my key card to my smartphone, to my connectivity. It's going to gather all that information, massage it, and then spit it out in a way that's useful for marketers. That's why they keep gathering all this information, because it's useful to them. APIs, which you're probably familiar with, Application Programming Interface. What it does in your organization, it tells how software components should interact with each other. In other words, how you get finance talking to marketing, and marketing talking to distribution, and distribution talking to inventory control. And then finally, maybe the most important one in this climate we're in right now in 2014, SDKs. SDK, Software Development Kit. What they do is they give you the information you need that allows the tools for you to create apps. If you're not creating applications for your particular message, you're making a mistake. Consumers are not going to type in web addresses anymore. They never do it. They have applications for everything, including how to order a Pizza Hut from the Pizza Hut down the corner from my home in Florida. Those are SDKs. You've seen the acronym UX. It's used almost generically now in the business literature. What it really stands for is user experience. What used to be a relatively simple process, identifying needs, communicating benefits. That's what we do. Axiomatic in marketing. Don't sell features, sell benefits. Find out what people need, and then sell them the benefits. That's what we had to do. Now, we have to build these immersive experiences. Students complain about grades all the time now. They never used to complain about grades. Students would never complain about grades. Grades are at an all-time high, and students are always complaining. Why? Because they're so much smarter now than they used to be? I've never given grades this high, nor have any of my colleagues. Students complain all the time. And one of the reasons they complain is they're very used to this term UX. They're used to creating these immersive experiences that engage consumers. You don't give a student a grade, you confer with the student about their performance. And as a result, they feel very comfortable saying, well, I just think you're completely wrong. And that makes it another demonstrable element of this change to a digital world. UX is the enhancing of customer satisfaction. Don't go any farther than that. Just look at those first two lines. The enhancing of customer satisfaction. Are companies interested in that? Oh boy, are they ever. They want to do anything they can to enhance customer satisfaction. And also loyalty. Brand loyalty, which is a very difficult concept to measure in marketing. We use repeat purchase behavior, and we use, so reporting back, and we use evaluation. But customer loyalty, brand loyalty is very difficult to measure. We're going to improve the usability. We're going to improve the pleasure. We're going to improve the interaction between the customer and the product. It's no longer just buying the product. You interact with the product. We see this all the time in marketing now. And I'm not talking about a bunch of odd college professors talking about it in classrooms. These are what companies are interested in because they want to be able to enhance customer satisfaction. And I'm going to give you a lot of ways to do that. Technology, wow. We're going to get into technology, but what we often think of as technology, consumers don't think of as technology. Consumers look at it from the perspective of anything that wasn't around when you were born. So we look and we say, you saw in the short video about email. Email is like the goose that laid the golden egg. You just have this remarkable ability to get your message to hundreds of thousands of consumers. You put together these great email lists on a fancy email. Young people don't care anything about email. Young people don't use email. I don't use email half the time. It's passé. You saw it in the video. Some of the top universities in the world are no longer distributing email accounts to their students. Every class I teach the last 3 years has a Twitter feed for the class. I have something to say to the class, I just tweet it out. That's it. I don't get any response. I just tweet it out. So when we think of technology, we think of capability, we have to shift our view. Don't look at it from our perspective. Look at it from the perspective of the customers. If they don't see it as technology, they're not going to be impressed with it. For the younger group in the building right now in the room, how many CDs have you bought lately? Some of you have probably never bought a CD. Companies think of CDs as being relatively high tech. We're going to mail out CDs or DVDs to our clients. Technology. Now, how do you make the shift? What do? How do we make this shift to global marketing in a digital world? The first thing is actually very important. We have to think of all of our marketing as digital. We can no longer just separate it out, and I'll get into that more in a couple of minutes. Also, if we look at this new digital nature of the audience, use that, and by audience I mean present and potential customers, the competitive environment in which you operate, the technological environment, the natural environment. Look at it from that perspective and prepare your strategies and your tactics with that in mind. It's not bolt on. And by bolt on, I mean this isn't something you do to add to your current marketing strategy. It's not another piece of your marketing strategy. It's a fundamental difference. Unfortunately, let me get over this for a second. Unfortunately, a lot of companies are still segregated. And by segregated, I mean that they have a digital marketing arm and then a real marketing arm. You know, the traditional, legitimate marketing strategy, and then we have kind of this digital end of it. Digital typically reports to the marketing team, but it's measured separately. I see marketing evaluation criteria and presentations and reports all the time, and I always look for that, how's that digital arm working? It's a fundamental mistake that companies make. That was okay for the last 10 years, but certainly not for this year and the next 10. We have to have some stuff. And if you don't have the stuff, you're going to have to consider getting the stuff. You've got to have the systems, the technologies, and the operations, because this is on the fly. You know, I love sports. I'm a big sports fan, all sports, but one of my favorite sports is hockey. I think I mentioned this in September. And one of the reasons I like hockey so much is that they change on the fly. In other words, in the beautiful game, somebody holds up a sign and says, excuse me, stop the action please. We would like to substitute. We'd like to bring in someone else. Substitute comes in, and they shake hands and they hug, and the new player goes out and the action starts again. What the hell is that? Business doesn't operate like that. Nothing stops. You've got to change on the fly. What do you do in hockey? 3 on, 3 off. They're diving over the boards. The puck goes down to the end, 5 guys off, 5 guys on. We're going to enable on-the-fly communications. Now, this is a fundamental slap in the face to those of us who teach in MBA programs, and I recognize a couple of the MBA professors here. Because we've been teaching for 50 years. I haven't been teaching for 50 years, but for 50 years we've been saying the same kinds of things. Do the research, do the work, craft your strategy, be confident that you're correct, and then cautiously proceed. That doesn't work like that. The world doesn't work like that. Throw it out there. Fix it on the fly. If you're late to market, you're dead. If you're wrong to market, you might be able to fix it. So getting used to this idea of enabling on-the-fly communications, where you can just change directions in a moment's notice. This is one of the hallmarks of marketing in a digital world. The embrace of real-time data and insights is the only way to make the shift to marketing in a digital world. And by real-time data and insights, I'm talking about on the fly. Almost making it up as you go. It's not for the faint of heart. That look familiar? Yeah. A lot of people agree. Those are QR codes. They're these funny little symbols. We see them popping up everywhere. If you're not knowledgeable about what QR codes can do, well, you need to become. Because they can do amazing things for big companies, for small companies, for very small companies, for universities, for hotels, and everything in between. These QR codes, think about all the stuff you already do online. Any company represented in this room. You're doing email and newsletters and social media. I'm going to see crocodiles tomorrow. Everybody in the United States is talking about crocodiles in Costa Rica. Crocodiles are really cool, particularly since they ate someone last month and it was in the international news. I'm going to see crocodiles. How do I know where to go? Facebook, website, video, testimonials, news feeds, viral videos, an extraordinary number of pieces of information. So Jose's crocodile tour gets it. I can't wait to meet this guy. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to reach out there and grab the people that are sitting in the hotels and saying, you need to come and get in my boat and watch me feed these crocodiles. And he's doing it digitally. Well, what QR codes, they can be a shortcut. QR codes can be that on-the-fly way of making it happen much, much faster than you ever thought possible. They can make all this stuff much more affordable and much more convenient. What do I mean by all this stuff? All the stuff you're already doing. What can they do? Very importantly, they can boost significantly the traffic on your website. They can bring a hell of a lot more people to your website. They can also help you register people. They make it much easier to get the names and get the email addresses and get the Twitter handles. They can get people to actually take your surveys. I book a hotel room through Hotels.com, and then 3 weeks later, I finally give up, and I rate the hotel. Why do I give up? Because I've gotten 400 emails or messages from Hotels.com telling me to rate the hotel. And you know what it costs Hotels.com to do that? Nothing more than the QR code that they had when I booked the hotel in the first place. It can turn new customers into email subscribers. How great is that? All of a sudden you've got, the event ends this evening and we're all part of a club. We're all part of the club. Also, can get people to like and follow your business. We've never liked businesses before. I've been doing this since I was a graduate student. We've never liked, I don't have an Apple. I like Apple. They're my friend. I'm a friend of Apple. Holy Christ. What is happening now? Well, what they've done is they've used a technique that's designed to get us emotionally wrapped up in the experience of the company. It's really amazing to see. And also, by the way, it'll improve the chance your videos will go viral, which you want. The whole concept of viral is extraordinary in terms of what it can do. I'm going to give you some examples in a little bit. I want to give you some principles to consider. Actually, I'm going to give you a lot of principles tonight, but these are pretty cool. The first one is clarify business objectives. I mentioned earlier to execute purposefully. Now I'm talking specifically, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to flog sales? Are you trying to increase the return on investment? Are you trying to survive? Are you trying to maintain status quo? Pick up market share? Whatever it is, clarify the business objectives, because digital marketing can help get you there. Also, and this hurts many companies, innovation teams need to look at these opportunities. They need to identify, evaluate, and activate emerging opportunities. Why this is difficult is because innovation is typically coupled with strategy. That's a mistake in almost every instance that I've experienced in the last 5 years. And those are many experiences. Why? Because people involved in strategy in companies are usually, and I don't mean to insult those of you out here that are like me, they're a little bit older, they've been with the company a long time, they make a lot of money, they're senior people, and they're smart. So they're the strategists with the company. Well, if we use those strategists to be the innovators, they don't have the tools. They don't have the skills. Innovators, particularly when it comes to disruptive innovation, usually come from outside of the company. Or they come from much younger people, much less experience in the organization. Some of you may remember we talked about continuous innovations and disruptive innovations the last time I was in Costa Rica. For example, I use my laptop, my iPad as an example. People say, oh my gosh, 8 hours the battery will last now. 8 hours. Isn't that amazing that they now have a battery in a laptop that will last 8 hours? You think a 17-year-old kid thinks 8 hours is a long time for a battery to last in an iPad? Absolutely not. They look at that and they say, shit, I can't, 8 hours? The hell good is that? I have to charge it up halfway through the day. So in the organization, they work their tails to the bone to increase the battery life from 7 hours to 8 hours. And they triumphantly say, battery life 8 hours. Aren't we fantastic? Consumers are out there saying, what the heck? What, don't these people get it? We need a battery that lasts more than half a day. So what happens is strategists in the organization, they look at making it better, faster, cheaper, and smaller. What do innovators look at? Innovators say, let's do it a different way. Let's do it a completely different way. Let's have a battery that lasts 3 hours, but you can charge it in 10 seconds. Wow, that's a completely different way of looking at it. So the frustration that I see is these disruptive innovations almost always come from outside of the best companies. They come from this young upstart company, about 5 or 6 young people. They're 26 years old, 25 years old. They form a small company and they do something that IBM has not been able to do. In any event, if we can decouple strategy and innovation, clearly I'm talking about companies of a little bit more substance now. We're not talking about a mom and pop grocery store, but decouple strategy and innovation. Have the strategy people doing strategy, have the innovation teams looking at the opportunities. And then finally, build open assets in the marketplace. And by open assets, I mean those assets that are going to be able to interface with not only everything that's out there, but everything that's going to be out there. Bitcoin as an example, or the universal digital currencies, or those kinds of things that are going to be welcomed and are going to welcome others into the technology world. Now back to McKinsey. I'm going to give you some pressuring trends and then asks you to consider 6 big decisions. The pressuring trends are peculiar in this marketing arena that we face in the year 2014. They're not only existing here, and we've never heard of them before, but they're particularly important right now. Some trends, as you've experienced, I'm sure, there's a lot of pressure on prices and margins. I don't think you can get a long-term edge over the competition price-wise. I just don't think you can do it. Somebody will figure out a way to do it cheaper than you. That can be a little frustrating. So we have these extraordinary pressures on prices and margins, and so companies are always in this pinch now to be able to say, how the hell can we sell this thing and still make a profit? The second one is competitors are coming from unexpected places. I work with Airbus in Hamburg, Germany every October. And every October we have the same conversation. There are 2 companies left in the world that make double-aisle commercial aircraft, and they both have 50% of the world market share. How long can that last? They say, well, it costs billions of dollars to develop a plane, to get into the marketplace. Barriers to entry are so high. Well, competitors come from very unexpected places. Not necessarily at the very highest level, but they just come. Some of you have heard of Tesla, the electric car company in the United States. Maybe the most prestigious electric car company in the world. Who are they talking to the last month in the business literature? Anyone? Apple. And by the way, when Apple announces they're talking to someone, that means that Apple is going to buy Tesla. Apple's going to be in the business of manufacturing electric cars. What will General Motors have to say about that? The great General Motors, one of the great companies in the history of my country, which is at death's door, by the way. Death's door, by the way. They have the Chevy Volt, the car of the decade. The plant is closed. They can't give those damn things away. And now Apple says, we're going to get into the electric car business because we think it's going to work. And will it work? Damn right it will, because Apple doesn't make mistakes. Apple's got about 10 products. We could fit everything Apple makes on this table, with the exception of the electric car, which will be coming soon. Apple looks at it and says, we are going to get into that business. So Toyota goes, oh God, no, and Nissan, and General Motors, and all the car companies that have hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles, and they're anticipating more opportunities in that area. The trend to consider is, where will the competition come from in your industry? And very often, it's the digital world will allow it to happen. Also, the days are long gone where there's this gentleman's agreement in an industry where we'll all do our part and we'll all share in the profit. Now it's winner take all. The dynamics are winner take all. That kind of pressure is tremendous on companies because they realize you're either going to be a winner or one of the losers. Also, the trend of plug and play. Plug and play business models. What do I mean by that? And can anyone help me? When you hear the term plug and play, what comes to mind? Plug and play. It means you're not going to be able to include any instructions. It just boom. People buy it, companies buy it, and it's operational that day. What do you do when you buy a new iPad? Read the instruction manual? I don't even think there is one. Is there one? There's not even one. Turn it on. They already charged it for you. Turn it on, start using it. Make a mistake, it will say, you need some help. That's plug and play. Well, plug and play business models are the rage now. If your company or your product is not plug and play, meaning it's easy, it's simple, it's quick, and it's dirty, you're going to have to consider that pressure. Another pressure, and this is a hard one. To my colleagues, the professors and the dean, we're not doing it. We're not providing the talent that the businesses want. There's a talent mismatch. The skills that we're providing for university students in many parts of the world, US included, there's a talent mismatch. Companies are not happy with what they're getting. They've never had smarter people, but they just can't do the things that they need. They've placed this unbearable burden on the universities. Traditionally, universities were designed to make people terribly literate and then go get a job. Now the companies want the universities to teach them the skills. On-the-job training in the university. So there's this growing talent mismatch. We have companies in the United States that are saying, the unemployment rate is really high and we can't find people that we need. It doesn't make any sense. But what it is, it's a talent mismatch. Also, the world is converging, folks. It's converging supply and demand. People have what they need. People have access to what they need. It's no longer just look for a growth market and jump in it. This converging supply and demand means that we're going to have to somehow tickle more demand, tickle better ways of encouraging people to identify needs that they may not have known they had. And then finally, kind of a combination, these relentlessly evolving business models. Every time I hear of a new business model, I think, oh God, here we go again. Higher and higher velocity, new ways of doing things. Go back to the business and something's completely different now. We do it different, we do it different. Well, these trends to consider may not all apply to your particular interest, but consider them. Because remember, innovation is not about things as they are. Innovation is in the future. It's about being in the right place at the right time at some point in the future. Well, with these in the back of your mind, I want you to consider these decisions. Because some of them are profound. The first one, buy or sell businesses in your portfolio. Companies are not going to be able to do everything. It's not breadth, it's depth. If there are things that you currently do that you don't want to continue to do, get out of that business. If there are things that you currently do that are not profitable, that there's no upside, it's a dead horse, sell. If you need to get in businesses that you're not currently in, you need to consider buying, or growing, or acquiring somehow. The changing marketplace not only changes the way we do business, it changes the businesses that we're in. I saw an interesting piece in the United States before I left. The fastest growing industry in the United States, you can't guess what it is, so I won't ask you. Tattoo removal. The fastest growing industry in the United States, and it will likely become, at least according to what I saw in Guanacaste last week, it's going to be the fastest growing industry in Costa Rica as well. What? Tattoo removal? I don't want to get into whether you like or dislike tattoos. It's the fastest growing industry in the world. Well, we need to identify, let's see, what do? We sell industrial steel. Maybe we should get a tattoo removal artist. That's not what I'm talking about. It has to fit your overall corporate structure, but consider what businesses to get in. You have to look for growth areas. The second one, lead the customers or follow them. So it sounds a little silly because we all would say, well, of course you want to lead your customers. It's hard to lead them. It's hard to lead. In many cases, we may not have the capability to lead customers, but rather go with them when they go. Wherever they go, we're going to go as well. We'll talk about some ways of doing that as well. Cooperate or compete with new attackers. I mentioned those QR codes. What do we see regularly in the marketplace in many parts of the world now? People buying product with the QR code. They walk up, they look, and they go, Does that mean they bought it? Not necessarily. Because they probably have an application on their phone that tells where you can buy it for less money. And that's a real complication. I think I mentioned in September, the great Best Buy of the United States. Best Buy's on its last legs. They have all these fantastic locations and this great product on display and this wonderful inventory and these young people with blue shirts on.